We've had a pretty busy January here at Curmudgeon Manor. Actually, starting on New Year's Eve, we finally got the flooring down in the hallway. So that's another item checked off the list. Finally, I got my Russian-made knife sharpening system came in, I think it was January 3rd or 4th. Got some footage of using that, and a little peek of the results of how well it sharpens a knife. And so Mrs. C now has very sharp kitchen knives, which is a plus. The big box that the knife sharpening system came in is kind of cool because it's like an olive drab green color with some Russian Cyrillic stenciled on top, and it looks kind of like a military style box that came with little ropes that you have to tie knots into and install yourself as handles. But that was pretty cool, and it makes a really nice place to store it. It all comes apart and fits down in there real nice. We've had a couple of snows, nothing really to write home about. We probably had about an inch and a half. I think that was about the 5th of January. We had a snow yesterday that was just enough to put a skiff on everything, and the road just was pure ice coming home last night, which made for some fancy driving. Mrs. C and I also had been looking at this log home to maybe be a future Curmudgeon Manor, and we put in the first offer, which was sort of rejected out of hand, and our second offer that we put in was about 3 weeks ago, and haven't heard peep one, so I'm assuming that was probably rejected as well, since I haven't heard anything. But I do have a few pictures of the place that we were looking at, just to throw it in here for posterity's sake or whatever. Kind of give you an idea of the kind of place that we like if we didn't live here, which we like this place just fine. What else? We have a couple of cats that come around the house and they hang out on the front porch. And one is the Himalayan cat that you've seen in previous videos. We called him Thomas because we didn't know what his name was. He showed up about a week or two ago, and he had a collar on with his name and a phone number for his owner. Well, his name is Max, and I got a little bit of footage where he came in the house. It was a pretty cold evening, and he came in the front door and kind of paraded around the foyer a little bit and ducked into the master bedroom. That's about it on that, but now we know his name, and he's welcome to come in the house, but he's been in 4 or 5 times, and he comes in, looks around, and then leaves. He don't seem to be put off by the dogs. Of course, we don't allow them in the same room at the same time together. We have a black cat that comes around that I haven't managed to capture on video or take a photo of him yet. He's pretty feral. He won't let you get close to him. We keep the cat food in a big Rubbermaid tote, and that's what it sounded like, a plastic sound. So I look out the window, and there's a raccoon trying to drag off the whole tote of cat food, and it probably weighed 10 or 15 pounds. And got a few shots of the raccoon pulling the tote across the front porch, and I turned the porch light on, opened the door, and that kind of scared him off a little bit, but not completely away. He just went down to the end of the steps there at the front porch, and I brought the tote in, so now the tote stays in the house. We still keep food out in the bowl, and so as soon as I got back in the house where he had turned the tote over, the lid had opened a bit, and some cat food was splayed out onto the bricks there. And no sooner I get in the house and got the door shut, the raccoon was back up there eating the cat food. And we've seen him back a couple more times since. So we have a possum that visits, now we have a raccoon that visits, and of course a couple of cats. So there's that. We were looking at the pantry and the kitchen. It just basically has 3 wood shelves that were installed when the house was built. It's always been when you put canned goods on one of the shelves, that takes up a lot of the space. When you put other stuff on top of the canned goods, you can never figure out what kind of canned goods you got. You know, do I have beans? Do I have soup? What do I have left? So I made a couple of small shelves, the width of a can, to go around in the top of the area that's made by those shelves. Worked out really good to put, now we can stack our cans along that small shelf in the two areas, and leave the whole bottom open for potato chip bags and other things. And Mrs. C bought a whole array of Tupperware to store stuff in, so that worked out good. It freed up the floor space, if you will, of the shelves, so that the Tupperware can be stacked up in there. And it's translucent, so you can see what's in it. So, organizing the pantry. We had bought these LED puck lights, about this big around, 3 LED array in each light, and they're battery powered, and they turn off and on with a remote switch. Puck lights and the switch itself come with double-sided tape, so you can stick them up anywhere you want. Well, we bought 2 sets of 4, so we installed the first set, just 2 puck lights each underneath each shelf that we use in the pantry, and put the switch on the inside of the door. And that worked out pretty good. So you turn the light on and see what you got back in there. Well, after we put the can shelves in there, we decided we'd go ahead and use that other set of 4 puck lights, and we took a third one, stuck it up in the center in each area, so they ain't got like triangular light action going on. And then the other 2 that we had left, we stuck them on the very bottom of the bottom shelf. So we've been moderately industrious around here for the last month. So given that it was the end of the month, start of a new year basically, and now we're going into February, thought I'd kind of tie it all together and bring you up to date as to what's going on here at the Curmudgeon Manor. I guess that's about all I got. Well, that ought to do. And with that, we'll let you go. If you like this catch-up video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like this catch-up video, give it a thumbs up. We thank you for watching, and please tune in again. Off.